Merry Christmas! Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. Today I'm going to be doing a bunch of different ornaments. Most of them are new. I'll do a couple from the past and one that I recently did that you might have missed. Here's our first one. I started out with this Dollar Tree ornament, a pop tab, and then I took this tree skirt that you may have seen me use before, and I'm just using that kind of faux fur around the edge of it, and I've used it for several projects this year. And I'm just going to take a snip off of this, just as big as I need to make for Santa's coat. So going to make this going from the top down to, the center of the bottom. And I'll just attach that with a little bit of hot glue. It's just as easy as that. You could do this possibly with the kids. Maybe you handle the glue gun and they measure the faux fur and the ribbon. Or, they could maybe thread the ribbon. It could be a little family event. I think this could be adorable. I think ornaments make great gift toppers. Just to add that little bit of something that they'll remember year after year. All right, we're just going to measure this around. And I added just a little bit extra since I hadn't done this before, so wanted to make sure I had enough. Just a little bit of black ribbon there. And I just attached it to the left edge. And now I'll just do little dabs of glue at different spots around it. We don't want it, solid because you can kind of see that through the ribbon. So just a couple dots of glue to hold it in place, but making sure it's secure. All right, and then we're just going to bring this around and make sure it's secure almost to the edge of that fur there. Now, if you wanted to, you could maybe use some of the puff paint or some mini buttons to go down his jacket. Right down that fur lining would be really cute. Now we're just going to thread through the pop tab. Another use for these pop tabs. I've used them on the back of pictures to hang pictures. So they make great little hangers. And I didn't notice until I was just about done that the top of this ornament was gold. So you could paint the pop tab in gold as well so that it matches just a little bit better. Or pop the top off and paint that silver. But then they would match just a little bit better. All right, just gluing this in place, making sure it's all nice and pretty and secure, and it's as easy as that. Now, I'm collabing with my great friend Amanda and Brenda. Together, if you watch all three of our videos, you'll have 45 ornament ideas. So go to their channels. I'll have them linked below. You're going to want to subscribe because these ladies are fabulous. I started out with these mini trees from the Dollar Tree. And then I just had this clear ornament. I got a big container of them from from Hobby Lobby. You can get individual ones from Dollar Tree or even bigger ones. And what I'm going to do, but I'm going to have to be really quick with it, so I wanted to have everything in place before I do it. I'm going to put some hot glue right on the bottom of that. And I was just making sure it would slide through really easily. So I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of that tree stand. And then I'm going to try and drop it perfectly center. I don't get it perfectly center, but that's okay. We're crafting. It doesn't have to be perfection. And, you know, if I wanted to move it super quick, I could move it with that skewer, but I thought it was close enough. And I am just making sure it's there and secure, so it's close enough to center. And I was just making sure it wasn't going to move. I let the glue cool a little bit so that it sets up. And now I've got some Epsom salt. And that is quite a bit there. So I'm going to go to another little mini muffin paper and put some in there. And we'll just pour those in. These are from another dollar or DIY that I have coming out later. I had those handy and I thought, oh, this will work perfect. It's kind of a little funnel there. So we just want to make sure that little stand is covered and it just looks like, you know, this is just a little Christmas wonderland there. And so just adding just as much as you want. And now there'll be a little bit of static in there. So if you want, and I show you, you know, you can shake the ornament around and some of that salt, that Epsom salt will stick to the edges of it. You could even add, you know, just a little bit of Mod Podge if you wanted to be around the edges. My first year on YouTube, if you go all the way back, I used some of that frosting spray and just put a little circle of clear contact paper and covered it. So then there was just like a little window there, and that was really pretty. So I'm just twisting this around, showing you, you can kind of make it look like there's snow all outside of the ball. Kind of pretty. And as you can see, I've been painting. I had a lot of other ornaments I had made before this, so we'll get to those soon enough. Okay, I grabbed these ornaments from the Dollar Tree. They're a little bit large ornaments, so you could use them as decor pieces. And these are two different sleds totally, so I'll show them a couple different ways. But I took this one and I painted the rails in silver. And I'm sorry, it's kind of focusing on my hand instead of the sled there. All right, so just gave them a nice once over, and I painted both of those sleds. I painted, you know, like the main part. I want to say the seat all white. Okay, now I'm applying a little bit of Mod Podge, and this is tissue paper that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to put that right over it. You want to paint that white because since tissue paper is so fine, you would see through it and see that wood grain. And you just want to put the slightest amount. Now, if you're using Mod Podge and you're thinking of using the heat method, I wouldn't do it with tissue paper since it's so fine. But if you have a thicker paper, you know, maybe if you're doing the calendars or you're doing something else, then, you know, that heat method would work well. But you just want to do little spots and the littlest amount you can to adhere it. And then you don't really get any of those ripples. As you can see, I'm just rubbing it with my finger and that's good enough. But I like to just do it in little small areas at a time. Okay, now what I did then was once this was completely dry, and you want to make sure of that, you don't want it to lift. So that's when I'll go then and put a layer over the top. Isn't that pretty? The little shimmers in there. I thought it was pretty. It just shimmers like snowflakes do. So here I am, just go right over the top. You're still being delicate, but not quite as delicate. And then I got these snowflakes from Hobby Lobby, and that was when it was either 50 or 60% off. So I want to say it was $3.99, so it was probably around $2. So I painted one in that brushed metal again, and the other one I'm going to paint in the white. Those I think will be cute embellishments to go with this. Now I'm just checking to see if it's dry. And now I take a nail file. I think that's the easiest way to get a nice smooth finished edge. Now this one was just a little bit more difficult than some things because you've got that rounded edge there, but this worked just fine. You just kind of angle it a little bit and it comes off just perfectly. You just kind of give it a little bit of a tug until it, comes off there nice and smooth. You don't want to rip it at all. And here we are just finishing that up. Okay, a little bit of glue here. And just attach the bigger snowflake. That was one of the snowflake stickers from the Dollar Tree. And now the other one, we'll just kind of prop it on there. And I think this is just, it's so simple. Yes, it's so pretty with the shimmers and everything there. I think it is pretty. You'll have to let me know which ones are your favorite. As I said, there'll be 15 different ornaments. Okay, this is a different method. First, I painted again in that, I usually use plaster. It's not quite a white. It's not quite an ivory. And then I went over it with that school glue. So Elmer's glue would work well. And I'm just coating over this just like I would the paint. Super simple there. And now I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint and go over the top after it was completely dry. I love that crimson chalk paint. It has such a nice, pretty pigment to it. And just being very careful not to get it on the sides there. I will go back and paint the sides in black. I thought the black and the crimson looked so pretty together. But I'm going to give this a little bit of an age effect once this paint does dry. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you here. I used my heat gun to go over it to just heat up that glue just a littlest bit. You could use a hair dryer. I think that would be warm enough if you did it on high. I'm just going over this on low. And now I'm taking a wet wipe and just rubbing over that. And look at this. It gives it a nice aged effect. The heat will give it just a little bit of a crackle if you keep it on there long enough. But then going over it with this wet wipe, look at that. I really like the effect it gives with the wet wipe. And you can do just as much distressing as you want or just as little. But this gives it kind of a little bit more than, a dry brush effect would. So just another technique that I think you might be able to use on some other projects. And sometimes that's the idea of me showing you some of these is it might trigger an idea on something else you're making. So I think learning new techniques is really fun. Now, if you wanted to, you could also go over the rails then and dry brush those if you wanted to, or you could have gone over those, you know, with the white and then come back with, you know, the same method we just used. Sorry, I was looking at that. It looked almost brown. I thought, did I use truffle? But no, I'm pretty positive that was ink. Oh, maybe I did go in with a brown because I'm seeing my milk chocolate there. So maybe I did decide to go in with a brown. So it was like some old wood rails. But I was thinking I went with ink. But I think either one goes really nice. Okay, you've seen me use these if you've been, you know, viewing me before. I like to grab a garland and just keep snipping off pieces. I've had that one since last year, so it's truly lasted me. If you're new here, a very special welcome to you. If you came over from Amanda or Brenda's channel, let me know down below. I'd love to know where you found me. That's always fun. And just a reminder, go over and view Amanda and Brenda's channels. So that's Rustic and Lace DIY and 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. Those ladies are so talented and they have been making so many Christmas DIYs this year. I know you're going to find something inspiring over there. Okay, so I just kept going with my greenery and I trimmed it down a little bit because they were a little bit long for this project. So just trimming it down and making it yours. But this definitely saves from buying a bunch of different picks. And my Dollar Trees this year haven't had a lot of pretty winter picks like they have in years past. So this is another way you can do it and it'll last for so long. Okay, so just figuring out my placement and then I'll glue those in place. Now I'm just going to make a bow here and I'm just wrapping this ribbon around itself. This is the same bow technique you'll see me do on an ornament later. So it's just a very simple one where wrapping it around will then give you, you know, as many as you want to go around. But then you can just tie this around the center and then just pull the loops out on each side. Super simple. And this is a wired ribbon. So it, you know, lets you remold this just the way you want those bows to go. And then I just dovetailed the ends. I believe that buffalo check ribbon was from Walmart, but it may have been last year. So I know I have another thinner one that isn't wired down in my description box that I got off of Amazon this year that I used on the other ornament. Okay, just gluing these in place here. I think this would even be pretty. So it would be pretty on your tree if you have a nice big tree. But this would also be pretty, you know, if you wanted to do maybe on your kids' doors or, you know, just put up, you know, a little removable command hook and put it on your doors. I think that would be really pretty. Or maybe hang it above the light switch in the bathroom, but it's an ornament nonetheless. All right, final touches going on here. You could even add a couple mini little pine cones here if you wanted to. You know, maybe on each side, that would be pretty as well. Okay, and here's a few ornaments I've made this year. That little hat was from the Christmas in July. Here's my Grinch. So these are ones that, I've made over this Christmas season now. And so you'd be able to find that in my videos. But I also made the hat right there on my gnomes. The gnomes were this year. So I believe that was just 2 videos ago if you missed those. I took this wood slice and I'm going to go in with the plaster. Just thought I'd show you a couple of those ornaments. So, gosh, you have, 50 or 60 ideas to go off of, just from a few of those ideas, and then what you get from here and Brenda and Amanda's. All right, so I'm just kind of following those rings around this wood slice. You can get those wood slices. I saw them at Michael's being sold individually. I think you can get them in packages at Hobby Lobby. I got a big package off of Amazon. And now I wanted to show you that, you might not have a Cricut, but you want to personalize. I don't think I have the best handwriting in the world, but I will attempt it here. I was a little impatient when I go to write on here, and I think the paint was just a little bit still too wet to write in, and so my marker gets a little bit angry with me, and so I have to kind of get a little ink out, but it's easy enough. This is that other ribbon that I was talking about that I had picked up this year on Amazon. Gosh, what did we do before Amazon? Okay, so tightening that up, this will be my hanger. And then those were just other little bits that actually, I did find some of that evergreen at Dollar Tree this year. I've seen others find it year after year. I have only found it out of the several Dollar Trees in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. I found it in one, and it was a Dollar Tree that I rarely go to. So that was a wonderful find, and it wasn't with the greenery. It was over kind of hanging off an end cap over by some other Christmas stuff. Kind of odd, but so I just trimmed it down, and that'll be my embellishment. And those berries were for something else that I had from, in my stash. Okay, so this is just a paint marker, and I'm just going to write my daughter's name. You could write Merry Christmas, like 2022. Sky's the limit here. Your creativity's the only limit. So I'm just going back over this. Like I said, I think I was a little over eager to get this one going. So this will go in my box to Marissa for one of her Christmas gift toppers. And you can always go back over it. I'm not sure if going over this one with a Sharpie, a regular Sharpie, if it would bleed or not. I think with the paint, it probably wouldn't. Just on the wood, it might. But have to let me know in the comments below if you've tried that with a Sharpie. Okay, these are from my Christmas in July. So these are water slide decals. You print that out on your inkjet printer, and then you give it 3 coats of just a clear acrylic spray. I got those tiles from Menards. They also have them at, any of the other home stores. So you just pull it off that webbing that they have on the back. And then you could put a felt on the back if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm trimming this out. And then you're just going to hold it in the water for about 30 seconds. You will feel it lift off of the paper backing. So I'll show you that here in a second, but I want to trace it fairly. You want just a little bit of an edge off of it, but I want it to fit nicely on here to make an ornament. But think of the beautiful ornaments you can make with this. This is the Hippo waterslide decals. So again, I'll link that below. Hippo sells theirs off of Amazon. And I'm just trying to measure it and make sure it's good to go. So put it in there. I put just a little bit of water on there so that it will slide rather easily. And again, you know, anything you can think of to print, you could put on here. This was just a wreath I made with some graphics I had. There we are. Now I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. And then you would take like a paper towel and wipe out the extra water. Just dabbing that down. And then it will dry and it will set. You could, if you wanted to, just do a spray over the whole ornament. That would give it a nice seal to it, but it isn't necessary. I've used these waterslide decals even on mugs and tumblers and things like that. So they come in very handy if you're trying to personalize and you don't have a Cricut. Most of us have a printer, or you know, you can pick up a printer at Walmart or Target right now. They're a little bit cheaper during the holidays, so maybe add it to your list. They're under $50 for the most part. Okay, these are a few different ones that I made just to give you a couple of ideas. Just making a couple of, I'm going to make a bow. That's where we're going here. This was one of the ornaments that I made for Christmas in July. Okay, I thought that was a nice touch. I also went around with one of my paint markers on one of them. Gosh, I'm not sure if it's on here. Or if I show you, gosh, memory escapes me. It's been a couple months. But you could go around with, you know, a paint marker or something going around the edges to give that a pretty finished look. But just showing a couple ideas, you know, I wrapped the ribbon at the top and the bottom. The other one, I did a bow. So sky's the limit. This would also be pretty to just, you know, put all of your family members' names. It could be stocking tags. But I think it makes beautiful gift toppers again. Oh, there we go. Went around the edges of this one with that paint marker. I think you could probably do these if you did it on like tiles and made coasters, but I would probably give that a good spray with the acrylic. But isn't that pretty? That one will be for my grandparents. Okay. Here's another one from July, and I used one of these mittens. Now, these are kids' mittens that you could probably pick up now. They have some cute ones out there, but when I got it, I knew I could make something cute with it. But my decor doesn't have that light blue, but you could go with that. If you wanted to stick with that blue, you know, you could do some of your greens and whites and things like that. And then it could go on, you know, and just be a decoration for winter. Now, I used one of the toilet paper tubes and put it in there just to give it a little bit of stability. And I also put some tissue paper down in the mitten, in the thumb, to fill that up. Now, a dear subscriber did point out, and I think they're right. I didn't have my tree up or anything at the time. Oh, I love these hangers. If you see these at Walmart, only 98 cents. I think they're beautiful, adorable for 20 of them. Sorry. But they did point out that, it hanging off the side like that, I may need to add a little bit more stability, or it would really, droop to one side. It may not be quite stable enough to hang as an ornament. And they might be right. You might want to just put a loop on the back of it, but hanging off the edge might not be the best way. So make a loop on the back and then it should be able to hang up just fine. That's why I love your comments, guys. I think that there's constructive feedback too that, helps us all be better crafters. Okay, I put this one on a skewer and just put that in there so that, it didn't have to go all the way down in there. That would be super full, but it looks like it is, right? Okay, just finishing up, and see, this is that garland I was using. I was using it in July also. Now, a couple berries, and this berry pick, I think I've been clipping off of it for a year or two. So that's why, I use those others, but I think, you've got to be a little frugal, especially when you do a lot of crafts. So just a couple of crafty hints that I found helped me out along the way. Snipping out a little bit of those pieces because I have taken off some of the berries, and I'm taking some of that extra wire, and that again will give me the length that I need. But those berries don't have just a nice length to them. So I took off a piece and then used my old, just off of another piece that I've already taken off. And just tuck those in there, here and there to make them pretty. And where those little white spots are, you can just kind of tuck it, tap in a little bit of greenery. Sometimes those berries are like that. And I used some of these little mini pine cones. They had that pine cone garland. I don't think I've seen it this year. But if you have any of that in your stash, I think that was pretty. Gave it another texture. And now we're just going to wrap our ribbon right around there to match the decor. I waited to wrap it around there because you don't know quite how thick it's going to be. And, this ribbon doesn't have a lot of give to it. And this had like that foil, it has a wire and it has like that foil edge. I didn't really want that showing, so I just tucked that all in. And, just made it as thick as I needed for this. And there we are. Isn't that adorable? Yeah, see, it's just not quite as stable. I think it's cute. What do you think? Okay, you see these bells each year if you go to the Dollar Tree. And I thought, let's take some, and it would be cute to do the whole package this way. So there's those hangers again. So I just clipped that on there, and we're just going to embellish them a little bit. Just a little bit. And I was going to use some of that greenery from that garland, but I think it was a little bit bulky. So this is that greenery that I was talking about that I did find at the Dollar Tree. And this was still even a little bit much. So I clipped this down a little bit. But isn't that greenery pretty? I have not found it other years. I love it. So I hope I have enough to last me a couple of years. But as you clip that off, you don't have that nice finished end. So just clip it down, because as evergreen goes up, the ends are a little bit shorter. So just clip that down. And now I'll just have some of the greenery going off each side. And just taking some of those pieces that I clipped off, and it'll just be matching then on the other side. Again, we don't need it identical because nature isn't identical, right? And so since this is going to sit kind of on the front there, I thought I'll kind of put it together here and glue it and then get my placement and then attach it, because it's sometimes a little bit difficult to use hot glue on metal. But this attached really well, so it didn't give me any issues. So I do have some of those mini pine cones there. I didn't end up using that. I ended up using some berries. Again, if I do have a pick, it's one that I will use the tiniest pieces year after year because I have the other bigger pieces. It's as simple as that. Isn't that adorable though? Especially for a mini tree. Oh my goodness, I think that would be so pretty. Okay. Now, this is one I showed you last year. You take one of those mini little solo cups from the Dollar Tree, and then I used some spackle and mixed it with some truffle paint. And just like I'm doing here with my white paint, I'd use the chocolate. And then you take that spackle and just go and put that in a piping bag. Now you could add a straw or not, and then I just use some of the brown craft fabric paint and squeeze that on there. Then I printed up some of these little decals, and I'm just making it kind of like a Starbucks logo, but not. And I think those turned out adorable. Super simple. I found the Fast and Final spackle is much better that you can get from a hardware store. Okay, again, this is an ornament from the Dollar Tree that we're going to make just look not so plasticky. This just screams plastic. So I used some of that brushed metal. I think it would be also pretty to go back in maybe with some antique wax, or go in with a little bit of gray paint if, you know, you wanted to continue the different weird metal effects. But I just used a brushed metal. It's just, I think it was a folk art or a deco art paint. And then I let those dry. And then here's that little greenery that I found. And again, I'm just going to trim these down because I had cut the end off earlier. And, you know, don't want to look funny and just so bluntly cut. And I apologize, I'm a little bit off camera there as I'm trimming these down. And they do have wire in them. So here's just an easy bow. Wrap it around your hand a few times. Just thinking how many you want off to each side. And then I'm going to use a pipe cleaner for this one and wrapped that around because I want to be able to attach it. And then just pulling those back out. You can probably wait to fluff it until you get it back on the bells. Because as you place it on there, you know, it's probably not going to sit exactly how you want it. And one of my loops did pop up. So I just pull it over and glue it down. Super simple. Okay, so we'll put some greenery off to each side. And then just looking, these bells are dry now. So I'm just looking at the placement, making sure this isn't too big for it. And again, I don't know why I'm sitting here messing with the bow. I guess I'm trying to move them so that I can glue them on. Oh, need another glue stick there. Okay, so get my glue and just kind of hold that in place there as it cools. Okay, now I'll take my pipe cleaner. Oh, I did make a loop there. I don't know if we missed that or not, but I made a loop and glued that in so that I'll have a hanger. Now we're taking our pipe cleaner and going through those rings on the bell, and I'll give that a twist. And then you can just take a piece of, that scrap ribbon that you trimmed off and just cover that pipe cleaner in the back. And now again, fix your bow, and here we are. This would be pretty to also put on a wreath. Okay, I snipped the fingertips off a glove. This is the video I was telling you about that some people I think missed. These are just fingertips off of Dollar Tree gloves. And the Dollar Tree this year put their gloves out inside out just to give them a different texture. Now I'm making a template just as long as that finger, which is about 1 inch wide by 1.5 inches long. And now I'm just going to trim off a U shape. This is a template so I can continue to use it for other gnomes in the future. You can see a couple of those gnomes that I made right there in the background. So again, your imagination is, the only limitation there. When you snip off your faux fur, as I have here, make sure you're only clipping the back layer. You don't want to cut all the way through or you're going to have real blunt edges. And, here I am just snipping around that bottom where the U shape is. And when you place your template on there and trace around it, make sure your fur is going in the right direction. If it's going to the left or the right, your beard isn't going to sit there nicely. Okay, I just stuffed that fingertip with a tiny, tiny bit of polyfill and used one of those little acrylic hair ties that you can get at the Dollar Tree in so many different colors. It just takes the littlest bit. And now I'm putting a tiny bit of glue for the top of the body. So I have 1 fingertip for the body and 1 fingertip for the hat. And this is going to be a Santa gnome. And I did pull up his whiskers just a little bit to kind of be like Santa's mustache. And I'm gluing on a wood bead. And this is one of the little tree skirts. Oh, I was just going to show you. They had these hats last year. I don't know if they have them again this year. But you could use that for a beard for a gnome too. But I'm trimming off of this tree skirt. This is the one that I used earlier for the very first ornament. Okay, so I want that band to go around his hat. So as I put it on him, I'm going to just thread this string through here so that we can make a hanger to hang him up. And I just threaded it right up through the back. I also did it on the other ones before I glued, put it down on the body. You could do it that way too, but this will be covered up. So it didn't, matter there. And then just make sure you make a knot at the bottom. And now our trim will go right over the top of that knot. So he kind of just looks like a little Santa gnome. These are just such a super simple project to do. Grab just a set of gloves, snip off the fingertips. All right, we're gluing that in place. So all you need is a little bit of faux fur, a couple fingertips, a wood bead. And now I'm just going to also, after I get this all attached on here, I'm just going to use a little pom-pom on the end of his hat, just kind of pull it over to the side so it looks a little bit more like Santa's hat. So pull it over here a bit, give it a little dab of glue to hold it in place. And we add a pom-pom, and that's it, guys. If you want to see all of the gnomes, that video, I'll put a link up above, or maybe it's already gone by for those. Or it was just, if you look at my videos, it was just a couple videos back. There's a bunch of different gnomes. There's a one sock gnome that is super cute too. Okay, so I had a couple pom-poms here. I was trying to decide which one to choose. I chose the medium-sized one. And I just think he's super cute. What do you think? Oh my goodness, I haven't even mentioned it. Have you given me a thumbs up yet and subscribed? Oh, please do. It definitely helps my channel, and I'd love to see you again. How cute is he? Okay, this one's super simple also. And super cute on a tree. You know, this is just a pine cone. I collected this fall. And I'm taking some of my paint out of here where normally I could probably just paint a small item just right out of there. Because every once in a while you have one of the little pine cone seeds come out of your pine cone. So I'm just going to go around like this has been snowed on. And then I thought, oh, I'll use some of that Epsom salt because I have it handy while this paint is still wet. And then I liked that effect. So I'm adding a little bit more paint and thinking, okay, I'm going to add a little bit more. And I just loved the effect that it had. So I'm just trying to continue to sprinkle this on while that paint's still wet. And trying to see if you can see it. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera there. And then I thought, okay, I'm just going to take some of this silver cording, and I tied that in a knot, and then I'm just going to tuck it underneath some of the pine cone. So it catches underneath there, but is sort of hidden. So I'll show you what I mean. If I wrap it around here, pull that up, and now I'm just going to pinch it together, kind of coming over the top so that it holds on to it. So I'm just going to push this in there, and then I'll make sure and glue that in place. And now I can pinch this together, add the tiniest little bit of glue. And then it should hang pretty, I think. I'm sorry, my hand's kind of in the way there. But then I thought, oh, sprinkle more of the salt on top of the hot glue. And I really liked that effect, guys. I really did, because I'm going to go back in with more hot glue. Yep, there we go. I'm like, okay, let me grab some more salt. And it really gave it a neat effect. You know how snow kind of balls up here and there? That's the effect I was getting, and I wish the camera picked it up a little bit better. But I'm going to show you one more project that I did decide to do this effect, and you can really see it on there. So I hope that you like the effect as much as I do, because I think it turned out really neat. So just continue to put hot glue and kind of on the top, because that's where your snow would kind of ball up the most. Wow, 13. Okay, these ornaments are from the Dollar Tree. You've got 2 trees here. And I thought, let's go in with that snowy effect that I was showing you. So I'm just going to be generous with the glue here and go right in with that Epsom salt. So you can grab Epsom salt from, basically any, like Walmart, Target, Dollar Tree, any of those stores, that have like medications, things like that too. Usually you'll find them over in that area. So I'm just going to keep going in with this and adding this salt. Okay, I've gotten this pretty well covered. And there's some areas that I'll go back over with the salt even after it's already been salted. And I'll give you a closer look here in a moment. But it just gives it such a pretty snowy effect. So if you had like some reindeer or something like that you could also stage these with, I think that would be super pretty. But look at that. Can you see that? Hopefully you're able to see that on camera because I think that gives it a super pretty color. You've got the shimmer from the ornament already, and then you have the shimmer from the Epsom salt. They are. Okay, if you're not able to find sleds from the Dollar Tree, that's okay. You can make them. So you can either use popsicle sticks, or I like to use the coffee stirrers. Actually, I guess I did use popsicle sticks here. You can see the coffee stirrers there also. They're the smaller ones that I also use for different parts. So if you have small coffee stirrer sticks, or, I grabbed mine off Amazon a couple of years ago when we were in lockdown and couldn't get anything. I grabbed like 1,000 of those and I'm still using them. They're so handy for so many things, from stirring paint to crafting with. They're just so much fun. So I trimmed this down to be about the size that I want my little mini sled. And I think this just turns out so cute. So I'm kind of staggering the length there. And this is some antique wax. And then these are the coffee stirrers there. So these are going to be the rails on my sled. So we'll just get those stained up. And I use a baby wipe so it goes on and comes off at the same time. And I think it works well. Now I'm just going to go in and I'll paint this sled. Okay, a little piece of mini garland. And then I had those little bells on, they're kind of like a bell garland, I guess. And I got those at the Dollar Tree. Now, you could make your runners with a couple things. I've made them with craft wire also. This time I use those stir sticks. We're going to bend this to kind of be like holly. And now I'm going to take this and just trim it down to be a hanger for this little sled. And I think this is so cute. And again, you can make that sled any color you wanted to. You could write names on them, personalize them for friends and family. If you do have a Cricut, you could put their name across it. So many different ways you could personalize them and make them special for your friends and family. But I think the jingle bells on here add that special little touch. Okay, just getting those bells in place before I glue those on. So we're just going to glue these rails on. And then after we put some glue down, then we'll just add a little bit more glue for support. And this is just a cheap-o Dollar Tree glue gun that I had. I liked that one because it's a little bit of a lower temp than one of the other glue guns I had. And just let that cool then. And wipe off any excess glue you have. You can always use a blow dryer or a heat gun and kind of get that a little bit pliable also, and then just come back and get that glue out, or run your glue gun along it. Often you can get, it to come back up. So now we're just going to adhere our hanger on there. This is just some jute twine. I do hope that you've been enjoying these, and I can't wait to hear which one was your favorite. So let me know in the comments below either your favorite, a technique that you've learned, or an ornament that you think that you might make. I'm trying to get this out early enough to you so that you might have time to make that ornament. Okay, I'm just going to make a little knot right here, kind of like you might with your sled if you're trying to pull it along behind you. I thought it just added that little bit of a touch to it. Now just need to get that centered again. And now we're just looking for the best spot to apply this little holly. I say that holly in quotes here. And I think that about tops it off. As you can see, I did another one in red. This is our final one, guys. And if you saw those skis, I'm going to show you how to make them. Okay, I was trying to figure out what am I going to put at the end of my ski poles. Couldn't think. So I'm taking the sticker off of the snowflake. I'm making sure it's not sticky anymore. And now I'm using my Waverly ink chalk paint. I'm just going to paint that up. Then I'm going to use some of those coffee stir sticks. And actually, nope, these are just craft sticks. And I'm going to trim off the back and make it just as long as I need it. Now, if you saw first or second year that I was on here, so some of my first videos, when I made the Santa sleigh, and I curled up the paint sticks, you could do the same thing with these. Just boil those a little bit so they're pliable, and maybe bend up the front so the skis kind of bend up a little bit, or bend up the back, bend up the front. You know what I'm saying. Anywho, now I'm just going to paint a couple of stripes on these to give them just a little bit more personality. Okay, now I use a toothpick for my ski poles. So I'm just painting those in silver. I put a little bit of ribbon on each end and just folded it over. That'll be my handles on, my ski poles. Right now I'm taking a toothpick through it to make that hole so that when it goes on the poles, it doesn't, mess up at all. Now I'm using a little bit of tape to try and make these lines even. They're not perfect, but they're close enough. And they fit on there nice and snug, and that it still has a little bit of that adhesive there, so they hold on good and tight to that. And then there's my piece of ribbon. Sorry, I thought I saw it already there, but maybe it was my paint marks on the paper. So I folded over a piece of ribbon, glued it together, and now I'll just put that on the end of the toothpicks, and that'll just be the kind of hand wraps that you have on a ski pole. I bet there's 100 other ways that would have been easier, but this is the way my imagination went. So if you have a skier in the family, I think this would be an adorable gift topper. I love to put ornaments on the top of gifts. I think that that's just, icing on the cake, so to speak. All right, we're kind of finishing these up here. Okay, let's put this all together. We're just going to cross our skis, glue those together. Now we're going to put our paint poles in there, or our ski poles in there. And we'll just adhere those, and then we'll add a hanger, and we are all set. How adorable are those? Why is it that anything miniature, it just makes it even cuter? I couldn't tell you. If you're still with me with your comment, please throw a Christmas tree on there. That'll let me know if you stayed with me till the end as we finish up. So just a little bit of ribbon here. And we're all set. Thank you so very much for watching. I do hope that you have a blessed day. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends and family that might also enjoy it. And go to the playlist, and then you can watch Brenda and Amanda's video as well. Have a blessed day and take time to craft.